So do you like change in your business? If you said yes, you're probably lying. No one really likes change, but it is an integral part of business. We are changing all the time. There's new technology, new customer demands, and sometimes new products. So when we're looking at change inside of a change management and helping the organization through that, there's a couple of things that we really want to pay attention to make sure that the change is actually adapted and there's an improvement in the change that we want. Also, we want to keep employees motivated and not have them resist the change, which the change still may happen, but it happens a lot more difficult. And we just want to make sure that there's no miscommunication, misunderstanding around what the purpose is and why we want to have this change in the first place. So here's 3 things that I've found very effective when I'm working with people on changes inside of their business. So the first one is effective communication. Now, when I say effective communication, communication is all about the response we get back from someone else. That's how we know if we've really communicated to them. So the first thing we're looking for is clear communication. So being very clear on what the vision is for that, what the steps we're going to take, why we're going through this change in the first place, what the benefits of this are, whether for the individual or the company as whole. We also want to make sure that we're building in feedback into this. If there's parts of the process and change that an employee can have an opinion on or put some feedback in, let's encourage that. It's going to make the change so much easier if they're involved in that. There could be small things that really don't matter to us how it happens or which in sequence, but it might really be key to the employee, and for them to have that input is very important. And the last piece is the regular updates. So depending on the size of project, if it's just we're changing the way we're doing timekeeping, we don't need a weekly meeting to go through all that steps. But if it's a bigger project, then having some portion of our weekly meetings or special meetings just for updates on that, so we can hear our communication out for the change, but then also the communication back from the employees to us about how that change is going, what obstacles they're facing, and how it's progressing. The second piece of this is the leadership role inside of the change that's happening. So as the leader, we have to be the role model, and that is one big piece. If we are implementing the change, if we're the one suggesting the change or sponsoring the change, we have to be the absolute role model to that. If there's a new change in policy, we are the ones leading in front of everyone else to make sure that people understand what that is through our vision and the mission around that. Why is it important? What's it going to do for us? And how are we measuring that part of the implementation? The other piece to this is the support and resources needed. As a leader, we want to make sure that there's adequate resources and sometimes a little more resources than we really need, just to make sure that it's pushing through as quickly as we want it to. Also, if it's a big change, there's going to be learning involved in that. So making sure that we're understanding and allocating the amount of time our employees need to go through some of that training so that they can do their day-to-day job. A great example of this is an ERP implementation. If we're looking to do exactly the same work plus change ERP systems at the same time, we're going to be heading for disaster. We need to allocate the appropriate amount of time for training on the new ERP system, loading up all the data, and obviously trying to get some work going through, but we have to make that balance, whether we're building up inventory at the beginning and being able to push that through, or we're bringing on extra resources to allow us to flex as we're going through that implementation. The third piece is the employee involvement. I talked a little bit about getting the employees involved in the first step with that feedback, but to go in even stronger, anywhere where we can have them take a decision and have that input into what the next steps are is really critical. It's amazing the amount of buy-in we get when they are making the decision on what that next step is. If it's not a big deal to the project, let it go through, because it's going to make everything so much easier. We definitely want to support them on their training. So again, that's a great way for them to give feedback on the level of training that they require. We can obviously give inputs as well, but seeing what they require and also when they're wanting to take it, how they're wanting to do it. If we want to go from A to B, what's their plan? Let them buy into it. That change happens so much easier. And then there is the rewards and recognition piece. It doesn't always have to be money, but there's other ways to reward a team effort that's gone through a change, a big change especially. To congratulate, to acknowledge the key parties. If we can acknowledge as many people for their own individual contributions as well as the team effort, it's a great way to build a lot of morale inside of the business as well. So following these 3 steps is definitely going to get you higher buy-in inside of your workforce. It's going to give you a prepared workforce that is ready and accepting for the change. And it's also going to give you a lot more motivated employees that are excited pushing through the change and making sure that it lasts and it's not just a one and done and you've got a false start. If you've got a change that you're planning inside of your business and you want a third-person perspective on it, I'd love to be able to talk to you. We can set up a free 20-minute Zoom call at ActionHTX.com, or you can click on the link below. We can talk about the change, go through a little bit of the model in change management, and there are a lot of change management models out there. I personally like the AdCar model. It covers all the different steps, and we can talk about how that could happen inside of your change and inside of the business that you're looking at, or we can look at the business as a whole, other opportunities, how to grow and scale, and do everything else that we do at Action Coach Houston Inner Loop. I'm Andrew Buchan, your Business Accelerator.